Live from Detroit, it's Coffee and Chocolate. Hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee and Chocolate. It is Thursday. Sorry, Thursday? I don't even know what the hell day it is now. It's Wednesday night. It's 11:20 p.m. in Eastern Daylight Time here in the great Motor City, and I am glad to see each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining. I'd also like to welcome all of our friends joining, hopefully, on Kick. I have actually joined Kick. We're streaming there. And I'm going to be honest, one of the main reasons I'm doing this is because, well, let's just take a look right here. My God, you see the whole freaking screen here. It's great. There's a new guy over here who I'm looking under Smash JT because I remember he had favorited it a little earlier here. But basically, there's a guy named the Uber Geek who apparently had his channel nuked by YouTube for unspecified violation, and he did the usual immediately requested assistance in getting it back, and they automatically denied that request within 30 minutes. And I will be frank, this concerns me. I don't like this. Look, I understand YouTube is fundamentally a money-making machine. That's all this is. It's a corporation. I get it. Your bottom line is what's really important. All that bullshit about DEI and inclusion and equity, we know that's all just a lie. You're really here to make money and exercise power and influence to the extent you can. It goes back to the ancient Greeks. Right is only in question between equals in power, while the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must, right? I'm with you. And I understand equally that if there are people who are producing things, not necessarily that make you uncomfortable, that make all your advertisers uncomfortable, you've got to do something about that. Yeah, it is what it is. But just be honest about it. Just do us a favor. If you're bonging me because, the Bank of East Timbuktu is one of your biggest clients, and they don't want their ads playing on my content because they don't like the idea of a man and his daughter playing video games because it breaks their moral code, I don't like that. That's stupid. You should be better than that. But at the end of the day, we all got to pay the bills. Just tell me that. If you're going to act like you're a broadcast network in the 1950s and you are compelled by government or other moneyed interests, or frankly, just your own sense of how things ought to be, if you feel compelled to ban or strike people from your network, well, as the great and hopefully not late anytime soon Billy Joel once said, you can speak your mind, but not on my time. Fine. Just tell us that's what you're doing. The only reason you wouldn't is, it's honestly, why bother hiding the ball? You've got the power. We know that. You could take me off the air right now if you wanted to. There wouldn't be a damn thing I could do about it. And honestly, what's my claim against you? You took away my ability to post videos on YouTube that were getting maybe like 5 clicks, right? Like when they were live, right? Maybe if I'm lucky, they ballooned up to 1,000 or 2,000 here and there, right? We got a couple of, we actually got in the 20,000. Excuse me, in the 20,000 range. Woohoo! Wow, look at you. You're totally the next Mr. Beast, dude, right? No, come on. Realistically, what's my harm? The harm is that there's one more platform I'm not posting. Maybe we'll all go to Rumble at that point, right? Okay, whatever. So just tell me that's what you're doing. Just tell me, look, we don't like you criticizing this person. Take it down. Don't be fucking lame-o. Just say that thing to us. Yeah, and if you really think you're taking it down because, like the incident with Smash JT, where he, I just got to get out of this here, or like the incident with Smash JT, where he ended up getting bonged by YouTube for that video that was criticizing that woman. Gosh, I don't even remember who she was now at this point. If you're up to that kind of situation, and you really think there was nudity on his channel, tell him there's where the nudity occurred, right? Because that's why. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, one of his videos criticizing this popular YouTuber was literally taken down. He got a strike for violating terms of service, and they said there was nudity in the video, and we all watched the video from start to finish, and there was no nudity on it. What there was a woman who had her knees up like that, both of them, and I guess it flags some algorithm. What we actually think are doing is a lot of people who are just, there's a lot of people who are just storming in and who are flagging videos inappropriately, and they're playing the algorithm, and either the algorithm is just going with it, or there's someone at YouTube who is, perhaps going along with them and sort of greasing the wheels when a disfavored channel is identified. That's fine, but you tell us what it is. And if you don't like the fact that he was criticizing that individual, just say it. Just say, look, no, she's one of our important people. You don't get to criticize her like that. Tone it down. You can be more respectful. I'm not saying that's wonderful, but at least it's something to hang our hat on. It's at least something that we can now start to live with and work around. Harsh rules are not the problem. Unclear rules are the problem. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Other stuff here. So Mr. Donald Trump and Mr. Elon Musk, right? They had that little kerfuffle earlier. I think I actually did a really good take on that. I mean, one of the videos I did earlier in the week. I'm actually clipped it and I'm going to upload it. I'm thinking about creating a new channel just for those videos. Let's see how that works out. But apparently, not apparently, I know this for a fact, Mr. Elon Musk has gone out and here's what he said. He just straight up said it. I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far. Do not disturb. Hey, man, you know what? I'm glad you manned up. I'm glad you apologized. I really did. If you watched the video, I didn't come out and say it, but I think it was pretty clear. I did think that Elon, you were a little bit over the line. I don't think that you should make assertions that you can't back up, and I think that's exactly what you did there. And you know what? I'm happy that you did this. I respect that you did it. It's hard to say, oh, fuck it, I was wrong there. It's difficult. You know what? I'd like to say it's a guy thing. It's definitely a guy thing. I've seen women have that problem too. It is what it is. We all have it. We're all humans, and we're all weak in that sense. We don't like to admit that we're wrong or that we've gone over the line, especially when in the heat of the moment we really did think we were doing the right thing. But just remember, there's no harm in just owning it and just saying, yep, this was bad. I really do apologize. If you did damage, make up for it, because you're going to pay for it one way or another. Either you pay for it with your reputation, either you pay for it with your personal feelings and tearing yourself apart, or you deal with it in how people treat you going forward, because they're not going to trust you as much. And as like the great Norm Peterson said, George Wendt, God rest your soul, once all the trust goes out in a relationship, it's just no fun lying to people anymore. And that one is what it is. I understand that the U.S. State Department now has apparently... It's like I don't even know how to get out of these things here, I swear. I need two monitors. I can't have just one monitor anymore. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, I literally only have one monitor. I have a monitor here. I've got the camera here. There's another monitor over there, but it literally is just a duplicate of this one because that's what Zoe uses when we're playing games together. And then I have a TV up there, but that only shows what the game's on. I actually need it. This thing is like a 40-year-old monitor. I should probably make this thing work or something. Anyways, I understand that the United States government is evacuating dependents from military installations in the Middle East. It sounds like things in Iran may be getting a little hairy. I think it's time to start buying oil futures, perhaps. I don't know that for a fact. They could be just making noise, but the thing is, you never know. And if I were the Iranians, I would probably assume get ready for the worst, because the problem is not necessarily the United States launching an attack. It's Israel. Israel's the one that has the skin in the game here. I will say this. I have, and I'm just going to, let's talk about Israel. Is that cool? Can we talk about next? We'll talk about abortion. Yeah, so let's talk about Israel for a second. Israel is a country that, in many ways, it is an outpost of civilization in an area that where civilization has not always found great purchase. This is not to say that it's the most humane country in the world. That is far from the truth. Israel very much lives by what I would say is that Thucydidean mindset that right is only in question between equals in power, and the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must, right? And so, all I can say about that is if only Hamas had found a way to not declare war by kidnapping, assaulting, and massacring women and children, and then making videos of that after the fact and uploading them to TikTok later. If only there'd been a way for Hamas to avoid that, this whole war could have been avoided. There is a rule in Anglo-American jurisprudence called the rule against perpetuities. And I think it is one of the points of wisdom in Anglo-American jurisprudence. I think in any kind of jurisprudential philosophy worldwide. And I'm sorry, the rule against perpetuities. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of the felony murder rule. Never mind. We'll talk about the rule against perpetuities in another one. The felony murder rule, which essentially states that if you are in the commission of a felony and someone dies in the commission of that felony that you are committing, as a result of you doing this crime, you're the one who gets the murder charge. And the wonderful hypothetical I had for that was, if the, say you're in a bar and your worst enemy walks in, and your worst enemy has made an alliance with 5 other guys, and they're all there waiting for you, right? And they all jump you, and you're surrounded. And you pick up your flintlock, and you start blasting away. And in the course of that, you do stop the attack, and you survive. But a woman at the bar gets hit with one of the rounds you fired and dies. Who gets charged? You don't. You didn't start that. You were just trying to defend yourself. 5 guys attacked you all at once. You had a gun and you started firing to fight them off. You did what you had to do. The felony, the felon who started the attack, he's the one who gets the murder charge. He's the one that gets to swing for that one. And I think that is perhaps one of the wisest rules that judges have come up with in our jurisprudential history, because that's correct. We don't want to disincentivize you from defending yourself. That's just unfair. That's just unjust. If anything goes wrong as a result of this, then that's exactly how it should work, right? That's exactly the person who's at fault here, the one who started the attack. And I think to a great extent, that is how you have to judge how these wars proceed. You know what I mean? We may lament everything Israel is doing to the people in Gaza as they pursue this war against Hamas. But this wasn't a war of choice for Israel. This was thrust upon them, and they're simply acting to defend themselves. This wasn't even a gentleman's war in any stretch. Their opening round was to assault women and children and to murder and just kill them straight up. That is how they intended to do it. That is what they wanted to do. That is exactly their plan. And I think everyone who is whining about that needs to grow up. And I think you need to look at the reality of the situation on the ground here. I think you're not being fair. I think you're being very unjust if you truly think Israel is to blame for almost anything that's going on here. Now, you can argue politically, well, Israel really should consider how this looks, the optics, there's realities. John, come on, you're the one who's spouting Thucydides at me. Yes, you're correct. But at the end of the day, our politics, our philosophy has to be grounded in a morality of some kind, and that's a clear moral code issue for me right there. If you can't say that the acting in self-defense is justified, when like if self-defense is not justified for Israel in this case, is never justified. End of story. And that's not a world any of us want to live in. Now, having said that, does that mean that I bless Israel and America should be joined at the hip with Israel? Absolutely not. And I think, like many things that have hung over since the end of the Cold War, the U.S.-Israel relationship is one that, frankly, needs a very calm, dispassionate examination as to who's getting what out of it. I think the Israeli lobby has had a corrupting effect on our politics. The fact that there's a congressman who proudly wore his Israeli defense uniform to Congress in the last year. I only have one thing to say to you, sir. Fuck off. Fuck off. None of this dual citizenship nonsense. You're an American. You are elected to represent American citizens in the American Congress. Don't show up flying some foreign flag. Don't show up in a foreign military uniform. That just makes me convinced you're not here to serve America. You're not here to serve your constituents. You're here to serve some foreign interests. I'm not going to say that's treason, but you're heading on that road. And what happens if you ever find that the foreign nation that you proudly served in the military for is in conflict with America? Which side are you on at that point? Now, I'd like to think you're on America's side. Maybe you think you'd be on America's side. But if you've actually taken up arms to defend another country and you still refer back to that proudly here, I mean, what are you doing? What the hell are you talking about? That's all you're talking about. I can't type anymore. Alex, Alberta, how you doing, man? Good day. Good to see you here. And I think that is absolutely a conversation we have to have. But we don't have to have it right now. I would have been interested in having it had this not taken place. I think that would have been actually a fantastic thing to do. But the reality is that Israel's enemies have a tendency to be America's enemies. Israel's making a stand for Western civilization, literally against barbarians at this point. There's no other way to say that. There's no point in soft pedaling that. That's the absolute God's honest truth. So, Israel needs to win its war. And I'm fine with America supporting it until that's all resolved. Of course, this isn't quite the same thing that we're talking about this week, though, because this evacuation of dependence from installations in the Middle East, this is happening because there's a possibility that Israel will launch an attack against Iran. And fundamentally, if that happens, all bets are off as to what's going on in the Persian Gulf. Or the Arabian Gulf, right? Arabian Gulf, Persian Gulf, American Gulf, Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, right? Turns out the Saudis did it too. The Arabian Gulf. So I'm interested to see what happens here. I think, in my mind, I think this is probably another mind game that Trump and Netanyahu, for that matter, are playing against the Iranians. Bully for them. I don't think they'll actually have to go to war. I don't think the Iranians are interested in calling that bluff, especially given all the reverses they've faced so far. But they might have hope, I think. I mean, obviously this little tussle with the Houthi over shipping, that seems to have died down. Did we win? I don't know. They're not attacking shipping anymore. But it's also clear that we're not removing the Houthi. We're not going all in on that. If there's an all-out Middle Eastern war, all of a sudden the Houthi becomes something that you have to deal with. And honestly, that North Yemen is not a place you want to fight a war. Egypt spent 10 years in North Yemen in the 60s, couldn't make sense of it. Not that Egypt's won a war recently, but... So I'm interested to see how this plays out. I really don't think we want a war. I'd rather not have a war here. I also would rather not Iran have nuclear weapons. On the other hand, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, what happens? I'm curious what that world looks like going forward. That's a question, I guess. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, I think that's enough on the world situation for right now. I am going to switch over here to Vampire the Masquerade, Reckoning of New York. This is one of those story-based games, wholly narrative-driven. Not really a walking simulator. It's more of a choose-your-own-adventure game where there is a little bit of fighting and that kind of stuff in it. This is one of my personal guilty pleasures. These games here, is what I find funny too is they're not quite woke. I mean, it seems like they should be a lot more woke than they are, and a lot of the writing appears to be kind of if you take it one way. But then if you look at it from this other perspective, it's not really that woke. I don't know. Oh, actually, that reminds me. One other thing I did want to mention before I go into this. There was a question that came up in a thread that somebody had on X today. I think it was Grums. I'm not sure. But and it was about... I guess a lot of people are going on about... yeah, that's what it was. So I'm going to look it up. I'm going to pull it up here just so I have it handy. That guy who writes articles, Paul Tassi, I think Talsi, whatever his name is, he was talking. He wrote something today. Paul Tassi, that's his name. He wrote basically, no game fails purely because it's woke. Not this, not Concord or whatever you're going to reference. All these games also have real issues separate from all of that, obviously. And I thought that was actually an interesting question, because the question posed to him ahead of that was, hey, have you considered, quite clearly the majority of gamers are rejecting these woke games. Each and every one of them fails. You should think about what you're writing here and what you're thinking about these. It's like, no, it wasn't because they're woke. That's not why they failed. There were other issues going on, not purely because it's woke anyway. And that started me thinking, has there been a runaway success of a game? Has there been a game that's just been a runaway success, AAA title, that was pretty much dominated by what we'll call, the woke mindset, if you will. The alphabet, LGBTQ, double spirit, 2+, tongue in the whatever, mafia. The, everyone is trans, or, is there any game that actually has been a true knock it out of the park success that was just dominated by the woke mind virus? And I could only think of two that might come close to it. The first is Mass Effect 3. And the second is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. I think that Mass Effect 3... first of all, neither of those are quite woke for 2022, let's say. That's not what I mean. They're not, full-on flaming wokeness, whatever that looks like. But I flag Mass Effect 3 for one big reason, because the canon Shepard, and there was a canon vision for Shepard. The canon Shepard was male Shepard, first of all. But secondly, there was a writer's Bible decision early on. Shepard is not gay. Not male Shepard, not female Shepard. Yeah, and I know there was some argument about female Shepard because of Liara. You could romance Liara. But I think they kind of hand-waved the whole Liara situation away because, she was an alien. She was a space alien, a monogendered space alien, monosex space alien, whatever the term was. I can't remember. I'm going to say sex anyway because gender is just sort of a mindset thing. A monosexed space alien who reproduced, and they actually could reproduce with aliens. And there was I remember they made a big deal in Mass Effect 1 about how, you can't have relations between races. It's not a question of desire. It's a question of just biological reality here, guys. Come on, be real about it. And that was a Drew Karpyshyn thing, because Drew Karpyshyn really did try to keep it real, and he was a good writer, and he was a good world builder, and everything Mass Effect owes itself to Drew Karpyshyn. Peace be upon him, right? But then and in Mass Effect 2, they tried to wave that back as too many, like, just for fan service. Okay, you got to, we really want to romance Tally. Oh, what about Garrus? You know, it was like, so there was that thing going on. Fine. But then in Mass Effect 3, they overwrote that, and they said, well, Shepard can have gay relationships, and so there was the opportunity to romance Caden if you were a man. Cortez, Steve. God, that was the stupidest lie. I'll have to dig that up and find that one. There was the Cortez, and then there was also Samantha Trainer. You could romance Samantha Trainer if you were a woman, a female Shepherd. And I'm counting that as woke because there was no reason to do that other than just trimming your sails to the prevailing winds of the moment, right? So that was, yeah. You know what? I'm going to call that a little bit woke. Not massively in today's parlance, but definitely for its time it was. And in retrospect, if you're actively overwriting canon, especially when it's a different writer, because it was not Drew Karpathian who did that. He left. I never understood the situation in which he left, whether it was his own power or not, but he definitely left Mass Effect 2 in the middle of it, and had no involvement at all in Mass Effect 3. And frankly, it really did show. But I'm going to say that's it. And the other one is Baldur's Gate 3, and I think that one's borne out just by... I'm not even going to talk about gay relationships in Mass Effect 3. I'm just going to come out and say, you romance a bear. I mean, if that's not woke, there's nothing's woke, right? There was that. Someone else mentioned Life is Strange. I don't know if Life is Strange was truly... it was it? First of all, how woke really was it? Because I remember playing that. I don't know, when did it come out? 10 years ago. I remember playing that. I loved it, actually. I thought it was a unique game with a character. The protagonist I really liked. I really liked the Max, the girl. I liked her. I was sympathetic to her. That's one of the most important things. That's usually what woke kills in me. As soon as I see the characters going all stupidly woke, I immediately start falling asleep and asking for my money back, or first asking for my money back and then falling asleep, right? But I thought Life is Strange, the first game at least, was a great game with a very innovative game mechanic. It forced you to pay attention to the game and then the story, and the story was interesting. Now, I did think, what's her name? The blue-haired girl, I can't remember her name. I disliked her passionately. I avoided her every chance I could because she really was annoying. And at the end of the game, I chose saving the entire town over saving her. Because who in their right mind would save her? She was a toxic individual who could only destroy and damage people around her. And I think the tornado was a perfect symbol for that. I guess you could do that if you're... I guess you could have chosen to save that girl if you were... stupid or an asshole. You could do that, I guess. But I don't even know if that was a smashing success. I know it was not. It was known. I don't know if it really knocked it out of the park. Someone mentioned some other game which I literally had never heard of until tonight. And that was Undertale. I had to look that one up. I had to look that one up from Grok, and literally, I've never heard of Undertale. What it is? Apparently, it's quite a thing. I'm like, should I play it, guys? I mean, honestly, tell me if I should. But anyway, that was what I was thinking today. It's like, those two kind of came close. Maybe if I'm letting Mass Effect 3 in, then you could probably start sketching out arguments for, I don't know, like Call of Duty or something. Remember, there was a Call of Duty you had the transgender flag bullets or something. I mean, does that count? I don't know. That seems kind of more. That seems more weak than actually going or woke. Hey, look, we got bullets with the flag. Okay, guys, God. I mean, hey, if that helps you deal with your life, more power to you, I say. Okay, now I'm actually going to play a game here because I'm getting close to midnight here. I can't stay up that awfully late. I actually have to go to work tomorrow. Yeah, go figure, right? But I don't have to go too early, I don't think, so that'll be a good thing. Anyway, so let's get back to Vampire the Masquerade. Reckoning of New York is the subtitle here. Like I said before, this is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I do love these story-based games. I was an Infocom game and a player from when I was but a boy, and I played a lot of choose your own adventure books and which way books and the Dungeons and Dragons choice books. Those are the ones, man. Never really played role-playing games that much. I just like reading the books and making the choices. I'm trying to get my daughter to design a game with me. She's working with me on one. We'll see if it comes to fruition. I'll start sharing more details about it. Right now, we're just kind of in the planning stages, but we're both kind of engaged in it, so that's kind of a good thing. Do these things with your kids, guys. It's fantastic. Have children. Holy crap! I can't tell you how much of that's important. Have children. But anyway, Vampire the Masquerade. We're playing as a vampire named Callie, and Callie, her sire, which is the vampire who, murdered her and turned her into a vampire. I guess her, father figure has gone missing, and the vampires in the local area are coming after her, saying that you guys have been breaking all the vampire laws, and so they've given her like 48 hours to find her sire. Otherwise, they're just going to take her head off, because that's how you solve problems in vampire world, right? In the meantime, she's dealing with what they call hunters. Hunters are just humans who know about because the vampires are secret. They hide behind this masquerade, which is basically this sort of kayfabe situation where they're hiding themselves, and there's rules and how they're supposed to interact with humans and keep the secrets of the vampires hidden and everything. So she's trying to deal with that, and she ended up going to a nightclub and hooking up with this girl who's trying to take her to a courier. She says has some information, so we'll see. In the meantime, she has a minder named Patrick, an Irish vampire who doesn't have a clan. The vampires have these clans. You see, they're all broken out of different clans that have different abilities, right? Because it's a role-playing game, so you gotta break them out that way. But Callie has a clan, but Patrick does not, and they're kind of looked down upon in the vampire universe. But for some reason, he has a little bit of sway with the vampire council, and so they told him, "All right, yeah, send him out to go watch her. Whatever. I'm gonna go get a beer." Is basically the attitude that the council appeared to have. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. There's the music. Night 2, The Anarchy. All right, here we are. We're in New York. We're going to this main quest. I thought I knew every fixer with whom Reynard had ties-ins, given my role as the logistics gal of our coterie. Maybe I'm just tired, but I have no clue who that night courier might be, and it sends my trickster senses into overdrive. Usually I'd fill the car with some kind of idle talk, whether I'm with friends or just by myself, but this time I just let the silence hang. Neither Patrick nor Skylar seem keen on chatting, not even with classic Queen tracks playing, so the Kiteif's perfectly serviceable car is almost uncomfortably quiet as we cruise through the night streets of New York City. I've got this strange sensation in my stomach, like I've eaten a chunk of ice. If Kindred could get indigestion, I'd blame it on my last mortal meal. But since that's not a thing, I guess this feeling must be anxiety. It's really not my usual vibe. Something about this whole situation makes the hairs on my neck stand right up. It feels like there's something terrifying waiting for me at our destination, just a few blocks away. But weirdly enough, my gut is telling me not to run from it, and my gut is usually spot on. As we pull up to the meeting spot, the night courier stands out immediately. Mostly because she's the only one around. Clad in dark leathers and sporting a helmet, she almost disappears in the night alongside her bike. We barely come to a halt before Skylar jumps out of the car and approaches the courier in a few strides. She seems eager to talk and even more eager to bolt, so I keep my eye on her, ready to give chase. She looks like she might make a run for it. It's not even a question. I shoot a quick glance his way and catch him looking at Skylar just as intently as I am. Of course she does. Or am I the only one flagged as a flight risk in your book? Well, I haven't come across anyone quite as slippery as you, so there you have it. The moment Skylar pivots and heads our way, we cut the chatter and step out of the car. 5 minutes. That's all I could get for you. Spend it well. Her hand reaches out to me in a gesture that feels overly formal. Low 5. I slap her hand with a loud low 5. Theatrical eye roll laced with annoyance is all I get for that. Oh, come on, that was funny. Low 5. Too slow. The key. You know, to your stash? I held up my end of the bargain. Yeah, got it right here. I toss her the key, which she snags out of the air. Pleasure. And with that, she's off into the night. As she disappears, we casually approach the night courier. One look at Patrick reveals a simmering impatience. I know he wants to take the lead, and honestly, while I'm not exactly thrilled to step aside, it seems like a pragmatic choice. Let's face it, negotiations with Skylar went less than stellar, even by my standards. But Patrick hardly gets a word out before the courier cuts him off with a sharp, sour response. Shut the hell up, pretty boy. Wait. I know the sound of that walking angst vortex. Callie, the fuck did you get yourself into this time? She takes off her helmet and I'm floored, staring at a face I never thought I'd see again outside of some vampire afterlife fantasy. Jess? Holy shit, is that actually you? Was that why you dragged my ass over here to star in this shitty high school reunion? As prickly as ever. I'm dying to give her a hug, but her thundercloud of a face screams back the fuck off. I settled for an awkward pat on the shoulder. Care to introduce me? Jess's eyes nearly pop out of her head. Oh, piss off. Is this really why I'm out here? What? Oh, hell no. It's Look, one step at a time. Christ. Patrick, meet Jessica Wainwright. I know you like it formal. She was part of our crew before she up and vanished like a ghost a year back or so. Speaking of which, we thought you were gone for good. She seems thrown by that, but she swallows whatever rush of words is clawing at her throat. Oh, really? Well, that clears up the mystery of the silent phones. Oh, so we're playing it like that. I fucking warned you. Not like I can text beyond the grave. FYI, I left you guys a fucking note. This whole situation is surreal. What the hell are you on about? Raynard said... Raynard fucking Castle, turning shit into gospel. Her deceptively soft features harden. Why the hell are you poking around for him anyway? Let's summarize. Camarilla. The full scoop? He's off the grid, and I'm neck deep in shit because the Camarilla wants him found. Right. And who's this charmer? I'm essentially the raft, keeping her afloat in the cesspool she's plunged into. Not gonna lie, I jump up a little. I sort of forgot he was there. I still toss him a wounded look and pout a little while Jess lets out a hearty laugh. So I'm surfing this wave of horseshit with you. Oh, you filthy, filthy lifeline. The sheriff had him shadow me. He's useful sometimes. Maybe it's the pretty yet infinitely punchable face that does it. Right. And you just went along with this because... Why exactly? Because I don't have a death wish. It was either play nice or get up close and personal with the sheriff's sharp-ass blade, so yeah, I chose the lesser of the two shit shows. She's not amused. Stepping outside the gang has really changed her vibe. Hell, we used to get along swimmingly back when we were cramped in that RV together. Maybe a real talk is what I need to melt the ice. I drop my voice as if I'm letting her in on a deep, dark secret. Truth be told, there's got to be something bigger at play with this whole mess, you hear me? I just can't figure out what the hell they want with Raynard and why now of all times. Jess shrugs and crosses her arms over her chest, looking like she could not care less. Water's wet, the sky's blue, and piss stinks, by which I mean, underneath all that charm, Castle's been a two-faced, lying stack of shit from day one. No wonder the whole ivory tower is on his tail. Hold up. There's clearly bad blood between her and Raynard. And it's skewing her view a bit, maybe. Charming? Sure. I'd buy snake oil off the bastard, too. But he's always been straight with me. What's even worse, she has this horrid look in her eye I can only interpret as pity. What the hell's there to pity? I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Head through the grapevine. You might know where Castle is hiding. And Jess laughs at that. Am I losing my edge here? Oh, honey. Castle's an even deeper shit than Callie is. See, I've been involved with the circulatory system off and on, passing messages and whatnot. She leans back even further onto her bike, all cool and collected, like nothing gets to her. I almost follow, enraptured, but catch myself at the last moment and straighten up, signaling for her to continue. Word is, Castle shot right up to the top of their shit list just a couple of nights back based on some fresh intel they got from who knows where. She leans forward on her elbows, looking at me seriously. This is major league shit, Callie. Could be Uncle Sam level big. And it might not just be Castle in the crosshairs, anyone tangled up with him. Keep the hell away. Yeah, except for running away, somehow vanished from my playbook. I'll lose my head over it. Literally. She shrugs and starts putting her helmet on. It's your problem, not mine. I bailed in that clusterfuck for a reason, and unlife's been beautiful ever since. Good fucking luck, though. Oh, clusterfuck of a sire. So she is, I guess she's sister's, vampire sister with Callie, huh? Nice. Don't bother calling me again. And then she's gone. Just an engine roar fading into the night. Right back at you, bitch. Without looking at Patrick, I let out an awkward laugh and kicked some stones. She's quite something. How are you holding up? Could have gone better. That one cut deep. So the circulatory system, huh? What's your take? Patrick mercifully bites his glib tongue and pretends not to see I'm sorta in shambles. It appears they're more eager to nab Raynard Castle than we anticipated. And they managed to acquire some incriminating intel. To be honest, things didn't look too good for him. Great. We're still no closer to finding him than we were last night or whenever. There's also the matter of whether the circulatory system intends to hunt you as well. By virtue of being his accomplice, of course. Oh, please, I'm hardly even a sidekick. He levels a blank stare at me and I bark out a laugh, my spirits momentarily lifted. I rub my hands together briskly, suddenly feeling like mischief. Well, seeing as how your Anarch lead didn't exactly pan out, guess we're gonna hit Sansaric next. He hesitates, idly twirling his ring. More of a tick than an actual need this time. It is indeed our backup lead, but, only lead. Fine. But I have my reservations about Sansarik. Let's unpack this back at Mahaven. Besides, dawn's nearly upon us. He starts walking toward the car, then pauses when he sees I haven't moved. I tug at the fraying edge of my sleeve, smiling at him, almost apologetically. Yeah, funny story, but I can't. Literally. Oh, right. She's a raven. She can't. He sizes me up relentlessly. Callie, this isn't the moment for your antics. We need to move, and quickly. The thing is, your haven isn't safe for me anymore. What are you? It's a thing with my clan. If I crash in the same spot more than once a week, you might as well sweep me up at sundown with a broom. He looks at me piercingly, searching for deceit, which for once isn't there. His fingers dance on his hand, spinning the ring furiously. Finally, they come to a stop. Yeah, I get it. I'm not messing around. Oh, you do? A hint of mirth sparkles in his gaze, though his expression remains stoic. Let's rendezvous at my place tomorrow night. I've got a private eye in mind who might have an idea where to find Sansarik. The P.I., you're not talking about D'Angelo, are you? He arches an eyebrow. Already acquainted, I see. More like disappointed. The leper's a good guy, but he's a dead end. Grilled him about Reynard. Got zilch. He even implied it was somehow my fault Reynard vanished off the face of the earth. Well, Cassell is practically a ghost. Sansarik, on the other hand, is not exactly hiding. D'Angelo should know a thing or two about him. Okay, fair. But he's a slippery little eel. We might need leverage to get him talking. A shade of a smile. Leave that to me. He'll talk. He turns around and climbs behind the perfectly serviceable wheel. Tomorrow, dusk, my haven. Don't let me down. I gave him a playful salute, waving as he pulls away. Look at that. Night's bleeding into day already. I really need to get a move on. There's a damp little cellar that I've been eyeing for a crash pad. It's not exactly the Ritz, but I've done my homework. It's secure enough for a quick sleepover. Time's ticking, but with any luck I'll snag some prey en route. It's not good to sleep on an empty stomach, after all. Ooh, feeding opportunity detour. A dance floor drenched in darkness. The beat dropping like it's on fire. Warm bodies pressed tight, buzzed high, and full of precious blood. The club is the prime spot to seek my teeth into. Well, you know what? You're a vampire. I suppose we better actually take care of those needs, I guess. Fucking vampire life, right? Hey, if you're not there to, drink some blood, you're not really a proper vampire. And I guess the other one is just last resort. If you're a Ravnos, home's just a dead memory. You've only got a bunch of hideouts, some better than others, each offering a day's worth of safety, and one of them is close by, just waiting for me to hunker down and collect my thoughts. I'm wondering, does this tell me... I see. Alright, I think I'm actually going to go to the feeding opportunity here. Might as well do that before we crash, right? This is truly vampire dance music. The The moment I step into the club, I know it's an excellent place to hunt. Crowded with mortals blackout drunk and high out of their minds, swaying, jumping, writhing on the dance floor like there's no tomorrow. Only tonight. Only now. Only ecstasy. I'm gonna quench that awful clawing thirst in no time. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, we look at the wallflowers. You'd think prowling for blood would be easier on the dance floor, but I know better. I was literally born at a rave. Twice. Spent both of those lives dancing the nights away at clubs and bars. I know my way around like nobody else. Sure, some of the people leaning against the wall are there for a reason. Take a break, have a drag, find victims of their own. But some of them would like to be part of the crowd. It's just their inhibitions stopping them from stepping in. And I'm here to help them break those barriers. There's a guy sitting with his back against the wall, head in hands, hugging his knees, frozen, paralyzed, clearly on a bad trip. Somebody should haul him out and get him sober. That somebody is not me. I can already sense the jazzed up blood, the accelerated heartbeat right beneath his skin. And tonight I'm not in the mood for Molly. How about the teen, twitching rhythmically in the corner, clearly too young to even be in the club? Should I teach them the dangers of the night before it's too late? Nah, too much effort. What if they imprint on me like some duckling? Besides, I've already decided on my target. There's a girl standing by the restrooms in sensible jeans and a tie-dye t-shirt. She's a flustered smile on her face and a beer can in her hand. I bet she poured it out and filled it with water so that none of her friends felt uncomfortable around her. Her, I can teach. I approach her straight on, a wide, inviting smile on my lips, and watch her shuffle her feet nervously. When I'm just inches her way, she opens her mouth to say something, but instead I cover her lips with my own. I don't hear the surprised sound she makes, but I can feel it. The vibration in her throat under my palm. I skillfully take her by the hand and tug her outside into a deserted alley with nothing but dumpsters. Then I crowd her, a blushing mess, against a wall and kiss her again, knocking down her defenses like dominoes. She doesn't protest when I move my lips onto her neck and nibble on it. But she sure minds when I bare my fangs and take a bite. I don't drain her completely, of course, even though the amount I drink is not nearly enough to completely satisfy. Honestly, though, it never is. I let go after a few sips and lower her gently to the ground. She looks at me dazed and struggles to get up, but I put a firm hand on her shoulder, keeping her down. She'll need a minute or two before her head stops spinning. So I just pat her gently on the cheek, ruffle her hair, and disappear into the night like I was never there. And for the moment, I'm almost sated. Temporary Haven, Last Resort, Night 2. If D'Angelo's Haven qualifies as a hovel, then this temporary shelter of mine is a full-on catastrophe. So utterly dismal it could force Tommy Wiseau to shed a genuine tear. Mold is redecorating the ceiling, and let's not start on the bed, a suspiciously damp mattress that leaks some extra sus fluid onto the floor with each squeeze. Home sweet home. But hey, it's secure. Zero chance of sunlight sneaking in here, maybe because the resident microbes have evolved enough to shut out anything that threatens their germy utopia. I sprawl out on the lumpy mattress and sulk over my dead Walkman, cursing myself for not getting spare batteries. When Raynard pulled that thing out, I legit thought he was going to wiretap me, but it turns out he was just giving me a piece of his past. A little gift from the better times, or whatever. Honestly, as if I needed another thing to play my tunes. Our gang is not as uptight about going online as the Tower, so we stream, just like everyone else. Man, I got kinda hooked. Especially with the mountain of old cassettes crammed into our glove box. Digging through my belt bag in search of entertainment yields only the wooden stake that almost pierced my heart the night before. Shit, almost feels like another lifetime. But the stake sends my thoughts drifting to Patrick. I'm pretty conflicted, to be honest. Can I trust him? Seems to be on my side, caring even. But there's something off about him. Something unsettling. Can't put my finger on it. It doesn't help that he changes the length of my leash for no rhyme or reason. His mood swings faster than the San Fran weather. It's so annoying that he's now indispensable to my survival. Except for tonight, he was anything but. Still, he introduced me to Matto. My gut's screaming that this is going to be a game changer for navigating the city, maybe even beyond. Skylar, not so much. And Jess... yeah, I'll hold off poking on that sore spot for a bit longer, at least until after I shake off the dark sleep that's clawing at me, eager, suffocating, steadily pulling me into the abyss. Meanwhile... ooh, there's a meanwhile. Don't know how to deal with meanwhiles. I would say that I've been more than considerate. She responds with silence, and that unnervingly calm, icy stare that could easily drive one to the brink of madness. It's a weapon she's honed to perfection. I thought I'd be used to it by now, but it slices through me as viciously as the very first time. How long's it been now? 5? 6 months? Half a year trapped in this endless spin of justifications, half-truths, and unfulfilled promises constantly veered off course? Despite her alleged interest in my unique condition, despite our shared thirst for answers, despite the growing urgency, the resolution to my dilemma always hovers just beyond my grasp. Still, she is the first kindred to make me believe she could truly grant me reprieve. I've been holding up my end of the bargain, and not once have I raised objections, not once have I strayed from our agreement. But I'm not one of your puppets, Ritra. I thought I made my stance unequivocally clear. That you did. This cannot go on. You need to deliver on your promises, or I'm walking away. She cracks a smile as stunning as it is rare, like a dragon flashing its fangs. It suits her, given her true nature. All in due time, dear. All in due time. Alright, I'm going to go to this journal entry and then before we end the night here. Okay, it's just... alright, nothing too much here. Everything I've already seen here. Characters. The Doomsayer girl we met her. Jessica Wainwright, yes. Matto Blomquist. Mia Sorrento, right-hand Torque. Skylar. An albino Duskborn. Squeaker. I think we killed Squeaker. Torque, Baron of the... that's right, Baron of the Bronx. I forgot who that guy was. Valerie Duvall. I think we ran into her in a previous episode of this. Alright, well I think that's the end of our nocturnal sightseeing tour of New York City. As a member of the kindred. That's the term. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give us a like, throw us a subscribe, helps us out. And that's about all for now. Thank you ever so much for joining, and we shall see you on the flip side. Have a good night, everyone.